The doctor thing and the city life was out of question. I mean, I didn't even know about it. So how can you think of something you don't know? They was heading the family, heading cows, but they said, since I have my time, leftover time, why can't I spend it in school? My father would just say, don't do it.
Yeah.
My mother would say, this is why you don't have to do it.
Yes.
There will always be barriers. The question is, are you ready to stay stuck, or you're ready to face them heads on and keep going?
Welcome, viewers. This is your host, Joyce Gikunju, inspirational speaker, published author, and podcast show host. And this is the Bounce Back Podcast, your self-help business show for the entrepreneur in you. When you travel deep in the countryside and you come across a herdsboy, just leaning on a stick, taking care of cattle, crossing the road in a leisurely way, do you ever see a doctor in the making? Do you see a clinician? Do you see a professor? Doubtful. My name is Joyce Gikunju, and today I am excited to be interviewing someone who was once a herdsboy, and he'll tell us if it was a dream, but today he's a doctor who takes care of women, an OBGYN at that. This is the Bounce Back Podcast, home to Bounce Back Books, an independent publishing house where we write, we publish, and we also put books on Amazon. I'm excited to be interviewing one Dr. Rulisa, all the way from the heart of Africa in Kigali, Rwanda. And he has written the book, The Path Less Traveled, From Cattlefields to Operating Rooms. We're going to have a conversation with him today. He's going to tell us how he moved from a herdsboy leaning on a stick to saving women's lives. Welcome. Dr. Rulisa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How does it feel when you held your book for the first time in your hand? How did that feel?
Amazing.
It felt amazing.
It's amazing to have it. Yeah.
Did it feel real? Like this is the book we've been going back and forth about?
Yes. Now it's real. It's practical now from the theories we had and writings and so on. Yeah.
So when we first spoke on the phone, you had a lot of questions for me.
Yes,
and I hear the questions are getting fewer and fewer and fewer. Does it mean that I'm actually now meeting your goal of the dream to become an author?
Even more.
Wonderful.
Exceeded what I expected.
Right.
Yeah.
So welcome to Nairobi.
Thank you.
Yeah. How is Rwanda?
Very nice. Rwanda is very good, yes.
What does the weather look like this time of year?
Oh, it's not as cool as Nairobi.
Oh?
It'll go better. Yeah. It's warm now.
Here is warmer.
Here is cooler. Nairobi is cooler. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So when many people travel to the countryside and they see a young boy herding cows, I don't think anybody imagines that is a doctor in waiting.
Yeah.
And so when we started talking about your book and I said I'll be excited to publish it, it's because I wanted to understand how somebody moves from herding cows to taking care of women, becoming a doctor, even the thought of becoming a doctor. Is this something that you dreamt about when you were herding the cows? Or maybe you can just take us through your journey from the time you remember yourself growing up to becoming a doctor.
Thank you. I think you're the first person to ask that question that goes deep. You say, when people see herdsboy following their cows, do they see a doctor? No, they don't. Even the boys don't see themselves as doctors. They see them as cattle keepers and cattle herders. The only vision you have is to multiply your cows, take care of them, flourish with the cows. And that's the end of the story. But the world is different. The world doesn't look like it appears at the moment. Things change. And so sometimes the herdsboy finds himself as a doctor in operating rooms. So that's what happened to me. I was born, of course, and raised in a very deep rural area. And And the main occupation and the only occupation for my parents was cattle keepers. They were very proud cattle keepers and in very rural areas. And that was the life then. Life was good. Life was very good. We had our cows and we were prosperous. And the only standard measure you would see is having more cows and more better cows. And that was the life. The doctor thing and the city life was out of question. I mean, I didn't even know about it. So how can you think of something you don't know? Now, when I grew up, one of the things now I learned and I'm still exploring is that there's a lot that we don't know in life than we know. And that was one of my groundbreaking thing that I knew, to discover that there is a lot outside the cattle keeping. It was like opening up another world to me. And that is what happened to me when I grew up. So situations changed where you grew up in Uganda, in deep rural, and moved with our cows, reared our cows, and then things happened. So there were a lot of wars in Uganda. I was born in the decades of 70s and 80s was a decade characterized by turmoils and wars and so on. And some of the wars meant that we get displaced from the wars, and we're moving with our cattle from one region to another, and sometimes even crossing borders. So I crossed borders from Uganda to Tanzania with our cows, and we came back and lived. That was the life. I hope when I say crossing borders, you don't anticipate having passports and presenting at immigration that you do these days. You'd just graze and cross, and that was the norm. And so at one point, we moved into an area that was infested by tsetse fly. And tsetse fly is called sleeping sickness to cows, and lots of our cows died. And so when your herd diminishes, I told you that's the measure of wealth.
Yes.
It's about the numbers. You have more or you don't have, and that's it. So when these cows died, and then there was a war that persecuted the Rwandans in Uganda at that time. So then we were moving around. We left Uganda, went to Tanzania, and the Tanzania had its tsetse fly, and we moved to another part of Uganda. And then we ran out of options. And at that time, we had to move from Tanzania and then part of Uganda, which was safer, and then it became unsafe later. Yeah. And that is how these movements turned. It was in a span of maybe 3 years or something, up and down, and we ended up in a refugee camp. There was a gazetted Rwandan refugee camp called the Nakivale. And then we went there. That was safe because the government militias did not have access to refugee camps. That's where I found myself. And in that refugee camp is a very small area. You do not have enough or big grazing area. And the cows had died anyway, so you could not keep practicing nomadism. You have to stay in one area and take care of the few cows you had. And then when I got stuck there, I had a lot of time on my hands. And the only obvious thing to do, and when I looked around, what everyone of my age was doing was going to school. And I said, maybe that's an option to do. So why can't you try that thing that people do? And that's how I found myself in school. What I didn't tell you earlier is that I grew up with my father. When you move, in cattle keeping, boys move with their fathers, and girls and young children with their mothers. So I was working with my father all the time, and I learned a lot of things. And one of the things I learned was time management unconsciously, because he would insist, wake up very early. You've got to wake up very early, and you've got to learn how to set goals, their strategies. And he would ask me, he would never tolerate to see you seated doing nothing. He would say, what are you doing? That means you're lazy. So when I grew up, I have to wake up in the morning. When anyone asks me, what are you up to? I have a list of what I'm going to do. Yeah. So I would wake up early, do what I have to do, and have a plan of what has to be done. That's what he said. When he asks you, what are you doing? You've got to answer. And you've got to have a plan. So that grew up with me. We had a lot of cows, and when cows perished, the plan stuck with me. I still had to do the waking up early, having a plan of what to do. And when you don't have enough to do, I have to look for something to do. And at that time, the obvious thing to do was school. Mm-hmm. And that's how I found myself in school. The rest is history. I am here as a doctor and educated person.
How old were you when you decided that there's nothing else to do now, let me do what everybody else is doing?
I think I was around 15 years.
15.
But I had started the school earlier when I was around 8 years. I started the school. I went in primary 1. Then there was a war. I left primary 1, displaced for 1 year. Then I came back. Another area where we settled was school. I went to primary 2. Then my father died. Then I left for 3 years. And then I stopped school. And then when I had to reintegrate, I jumped to school. When I went to school and says, I want to go to school. I would look at the kids around and see their age and say, well, which class are you? I would join that one. I didn't do any formal school of P1, 2, 3, 4 until. So when I reintegrated in the refugee camp, I had not done primary 2 completely. I had not done primary 3. I didn't do primary 4. I just jumped to primary 5. And the reason was that was my age group, roughly. My age, or at least I'm a little bit older than them. And the primary 6 was a little bit tougher. So I started primary 5. There was no proof to ask the evidence of my grades. I just said, well, I want to be here. And the system in Uganda was that if you don't pass exam, you repeat anyway. So then that's how I ended up in primary 5 at that point. And then I moved on. When I went to school, I had a hidden agenda of being a part-time student because I was head of the family. My father had died. I was the firstborn in the family. I was taking care of my family. But I didn't have a lot of cows anymore, so I had some free time. And I said, why can't I use this free time to do school? And I went to school, but it wasn't hard of someone doing school part-time at that time. Now people do school in the evening and do some job. At that time, it wasn't, especially at the primary school level. And so when I wanted to be integrated in school, I didn't tell them that I would do part-time. But inside me, I knew I am going to do part-time because there was no way. But I also didn't plan to continue schooling because heads of families don't go to school. They send people to school. And that's what I did. So I sent my siblings. I was heading the family, heading cows. But they said, since I have my time, leftover time, why can't I spend it in school? And that's how I found myself in school. And I made it. Somehow found myself progressing 1 year after another, 1 year after another. And here I am. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, when you say that, you're sending people to school, you're going to school, where is the school fees?
You sell cows. So the only property we had was cows. So you sell one cow and solve all the problems in the home. Whether it is, but remember when you sell cows, you pay school fees for the kids, buy clothes, do everything, but also have to take care of the cows if it is medicine or anything, or that was the only source of income we had. Yeah.
So you must have performed well in school for you to have been taken into a good high school and then gone to college and chosen to do medicine.
Yeah.
That means you are passing.
Yes. When I look back now, I think I developed these traits from the beginning of my life. When I was heading a family as a young boy, I trained myself, or rather the environment trained myself to be hardworking. And so when I went to school, remember I jumped 2 classes. I jumped 3 years later, I jumped to 2 classes. So when I went to school, I knew I had gaps, but no one else in the school knew that I had those gaps. So I had to work extremely hard to catch up. I only knew that if I don't work hard, no one else is on my rescue. So I could not afford to work like any average kid because I knew I had the gaps to cover. So I worked hard. And all the time I was on top of my class in primary school, despite being part-time. And no one knew my part-time thing. I'm declaring it for the first time.
So some days you go to school, some days you don't go to school.
Yes. So I made a deal with my uncle that we combine our herds. So he would take care of them one day, I take care of them another day. And so when it was my day, I would not come to school. When it was his day, I go to school.
Yeah.
And moved it this way.
How did you catch up when you missed school?
So I had books. I had to borrow books, cover them with a polythene bag, then take my books with cattle. When cows settle, I read my books. It was very interesting.
You said that fathers and boys would herd together, and the mom and the girls would go together.
Yeah.
So did your dad know that you're a part-time student?
My dad had died at that point.
Yes.
My dad had died, and I was head of a family for 3 years when we were running around. And that's when I decided to go to school. I was alone. I was head of family going to school now. That's when I integrated. So when I was in primary 2, my dad died. So when he died, and the war set in at the same time, the only obvious thing was me as a boy, as a firstborn, leave school, take care of family. There was no question about it. So I had left school completely. There was no question about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you remember about your father?
He was a very strict disciplinarian, and I think he was very hardworking. When I remember what things he used to tell me were about hard work and about discipline. He was very much insisting on discipline.
Is your mom still alive?
She's still alive, very strong. She's now 75.
75 years old?
Yes.
Wow. How do you remember her growing up? Was she also strict?
My mom was very strict, but not as tough as my dad. But of course, my mom would first tell you stories, educate you why you don't have to do what you have to do. He was very tolerant. My father would not tolerate any nonsense. He doesn't question anything. You do the right thing or you have the punishment. That's it.
Yeah.
And so we grew up that way. But my mom was the opposite. She was very soft, but he would break it down for you to understand that if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to have consequences.
Yes.
And he makes sure that it is well broken down and you understand by yourself. My father would just say, don't do it.
Yeah.
My mother would say, this is why you don't have to do it.
Yes.
So they were both complementing each other.
So when you ended up becoming a father yourself, which method did you use to run your home?
I think I combined both of them, but I think I like my mom's way of explaining the whys. But then I also have my dad's thing of not tolerating things. I think I react very quickly.
And your wife, what kind of,
She's like my mother. She's that soft. I think my wife is more like my dad used to be. She's very strict.
Yeah.
She's the no-nonsense.
She doesn't break it down for them?
She does later, I think.
Let's go to where you met her. Where did you meet your wife? Did you meet her in primary school, in secondary school, in higher learning?
No. So I met her at the university. We met at the university when I was doing medical school and she was in law school. And we met at the university in a prayer group. So at the university, the Christian had the evening prayer meetings, and the Christian would meet there. This is when I met her. Yeah.
Does she tell you what she first noticed when she saw you?
It's an interesting story. So she says, when I was at the university, she was in her room, and she saw someone with a stick. At the university, I had a stick.
A walking stick or?
A walking stick, like a herdsboy stick.
Okay.
I don't know how it came now. I break it down in my book about habits.
Yes.
And how habits die hard. And I try to use my stick culture. When I was young, my father said, you cannot go out without a stick. And he didn't say why. I picked a stick, but when I go out, when I grew up, I saw everyone had a stick. Well, I grabbed the stick, I had the carton, and then eventually I learned the sticks are very handy and very useful, and maintain the stick. My father never explained why I have to take a stick, but he said, you dare go out of the house without a stick? He took out, went back, grabbed the stick all the time until it became a habit. Now, a stick was my best companion at that time when I grew up.
Yeah.
When I went to cities, I felt like something is missing. I don't know where to put my hands without a stick. And so even when I went to cities, I would smuggle in a stick in my house and I have a stick somewhere. So then at the university, I was carrying a stick that she saw me, someone with a stick, and she was wondering, does that guy think he's herding cattle here? Or... But they laughed at it. It was a girl's room. They were looking across in the boys' dormitory. And then she later told me a story and says, do you carry a stick? She came to my room and I had a stick in my corner and said, well, I have a stick. And she said, why do you have a stick? And I said, of course, someone has to have a stick. And they said, no, not everyone have to have a stick, but for what?
Yeah.
Then I started thinking, actually, why do I have a stick? So this is what I elaborate in my book about habits.
Yes.
So she saw someone with a habit with a stick. And I also don't know why I had a stick at the university, but it was a habit that was developed earlier. And what I elaborate in my book is that if you are careful to develop habits that are handy, that are useful for you, they can help your life unconsciously. If you are not careful and develop bad habits, they can be detrimental to your life. So we've got to be careful what small things we practice more often. It goes like thinking. What do you think more often shapes you? So you become a product of your thoughts.
Yes.
So you've got to be careful on what you think all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
When someone thinks of a Rwandese, the first thing that comes to their mind, at least a Kenyan, and this is because we never even used to think of Rwanda as a country until the genocide happened.
Yes.
So where were you? Where did it catch you?
Well, I was in the middle. Well, maybe I go back. I tell you about my story of growing up. I was born and raised in Uganda as a refugee. Yeah. Well, I didn't go as a refugee. My father and my parents left as refugees. I was born in Uganda because we were refugees. Yeah. And now war started to liberate Rwanda because of this. Is one section of people was not allowed in the country simply because of who they were. And that went on for 30 years until some young man says, enough is enough, we've got to go back. So war happened, and the government, the sitting government in Rwanda thought the solution is to exterminate these people, and they planned and executed genocide against the Tutsi, and that is what happened. To them, that was the solution for not having Tutsis in the country or something. Genocide happened. That was the worst thing I have ever had in my life. So I was in Uganda. We came back to Rwanda after genocide. The RPF that was fighting won the war, stopped the genocide, and they repatriated everyone who were refugees were now allowed to come back. And that's how we came back. So when we came back after genocide, the whole country was broken down. Everything was shattered, and the only left was just soldiers running the government. There was no government, there was nothing. It was just a broken state. Yeah. So that is the country we inherited. It was shattered, it was broken down.
Yes.
And there were no structures, no systems, nothing. Everything was built from scratch. And there were no people to build. There were very few people.
Yes.
People were either killed or the others were killers and they had left the country.
Yeah.
So we had to start from zero almost.
So you
or
moved
minus
from,
zero.
So you moved from Uganda, went back into your country.
Went back into Rwanda.
Yes.
And together with other people started putting together what was there. And yeah, when things settled down, institutions started coming up, I chose to go to university. And that is how I joined the medical school in 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Bible verse that you've quoted here. Matthew 9, 37, 38. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So you were very few people who are willing to walk into the mess and start fixing from the ground up.
Yeah, from the ground. There was a lot of, everywhere was a gap, but there were very few people available to do it. So everyone was overstretched doing whatever they could, but still we wouldn't fill the gap. So they were fixing one by one.
Yeah.
But at that time, you can imagine, after genocide, the biggest challenge was security. So the government had to put all the effort in securing the country, at least making sure that the remaining survivors are safe. And then the rest can build from safety and security.
Did you take part in the liberation struggle?
Yes.
How so?
Partly. I was part. Every Rwandan who was a refugee in one or another participated. So everyone participated in different ways. Yeah.
Do you remember what you did?
Yes, I was part of mobilizing people. We had people called cadres. So the cadres are people who are politically sensitized to mobilize and work in logistics and other systems of the struggle.
Yeah. When did you learn French?
When I arrived in Rwanda, we found Rwanda was a French-speaking country, and I thought at the university actually they said a little bit mandatory that we have got to learn French. But I also found it was very interesting to learn French. So I learned French. But I later went also to do some course in Belgium.
Yes.
So I was trained in Belgium, and the course I did epidemiology and biostatistics, and it was in pure French. So I intensified my French when I went to when they gave a scholarship, they said Rwanda. It was all over the world. They were giving scholarships, but only for French speaking. And Rwanda was listed as a French speaker. And I said, why should I miss the opportunity simply because of the language I said I can do?
Yes.
And so it was tough, but I learned a lot when I went to Belgium.
So here you are, you've gone to, you are a refugee, you've gone to school now and you're educated, you're taking on a new language. And then the opportunity comes now to fly out of the country. Did you have a passport?
No, I didn't have a passport, but I had to look for a passport at that time. So when you got a reason to go, you would go to immigration and ask for passport.
So immigration was now in place?
Immigration was now in place. No, I went to Belgium maybe 2 years later. Many years actually, maybe 5, 6 years. Systems are now functional, working. And
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first time you realized that, yes, now you have a passport and you need to go for your education, how did it feel that you are flying out of the country, taking a flight for the first time? How did that feel? I
had the passport before because I was doing some other jobs around. I would come back to Uganda, back and forth. I went to Tanzania. But the first time I flew on that flight is when I was going to Belgium. That was my first flight. It was intimidating.
Going to the airport in Kigali.
The airport in Kigali was okay. I had gone to the airports, but the thing is that you don't know how airplane looks inside. When I go there and want. You don't know. One thing I liked that I had acquired earlier, that is, I think, a trait of cattle keepers. Cattle keeping gives you unproportional confidence from a childhood. So you feel a little bit maybe overconfidence, if I can say, or false confidence in some option. But I feel, well, if it is doable, I can do it. And that is an attitude I developed much earlier, that if something has to be done, if someone has done it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And so that's the confidence I had. And just, well, when I went to Belgium, of course, for the first time in Europe, I got lost several times in the trains. I didn't know how to go in the train. And especially the underground train. It was something unique. I mean, when I went there, it was so intimidating. But also, I had developed an attitude much earlier of, I didn't tell you the story how I migrated from the very rural and then I went to urban cities.
Yes.
I knew that there is a lot of things I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I hit several walls at the beginning, trying to pretend that I know things, and it was tough. So over the time, I developed an attitude of it is okay not to know things.
Yes.
And so when I know, I would ask questions.
Yeah.
I had developed that attitude earlier, that not knowing is okay. I mean, not everyone knows everything. I knew my gaps, and so then I would ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
So that saved me a lot. Yeah.
So then what we are saying is that if it's okay to ask, instead of doing things and getting them wrong, it's better to ask a stupid question, but now you know which way to proceed.
It's very okay to know that you don't know. Once you appreciate there are things you don't know in life, then you are open to learning. And open to learning is asking questions. And there's no stupid question. I tell even my students, there's no stupid question. If you don't know, you don't know. And that is okay. So that is what I do. If I don't know, I don't know.
And sometimes I find that someone can start asking a question and they say, it might be a stupid question, and they end up asking a very intelligent question.
Of course, one of the things I tell myself that if I ask you a question and you think it's a stupid question, that is your opinion. It is not my opinion. My opinion is I don't know and I want an answer.
Yes.
If you give me an answer and you think I am stupid, I don't care. That is your opinion. My opinion, I don't know and I want an answer. That's it. And that has helped me to grow and to learn a lot of things. And to me, there's no stupid question. If I don't know, I don't know. And so the transition from my rural to urban, if I pretended that I know, I would have gone lost.
Yes.
And so even now, there's a lot of things I don't know up to now. As a doctor, as a professor, there's a lot of things I don't know. So I'm open to learning. And that's the attitude I carry everywhere I go.
And so you move from rural to urban. Now you're in an international, you're in Brussels.
Yeah.
So how is life in Brussels? First of all, the weather. The seasons.
So when I went to Brussels, it was winter.
Yes.
And no one warned me that there would be winter. And so I went in an airplane with what I perceived was the smartest way, because you're going to Europe, you've got to be smart, right? You put on my coat and shirt and shoes and everything. And then I go to Europe, I land in the morning, I'm almost freezing. So between the plane and going to baggage area, because I had another coat, but the normal suit jacket I had couldn't work for me. And I didn't have anything for winter. And then someone had come to pick me and said, are you going to survive like that? I said, yeah, I'm going to survive. I had that confidence of where I can make it, of course. I didn't make it. So then he had to take me to the shop and I buy winter jackets and survive. And then I learned my lesson. Every time I go, I ask and so on. But that I didn't know that it was winter. I didn't know what to do. I mean, but
So the people who were born in the 90s and beyond, the millennials and the Gen X's watching this show are wondering, was there no internet?
Yeah, there was no internet.
Were there no phones?
Now when I travel, I just check on my phone and say, I'm going to Nairobi, what's the weather? And I'm going to New York, what's the weather? Is it freezing? And I carry a jacket.
Yeah.
At that time, there was no internet. There was no smartphones. There was no way I could check. But I think a big part was my ignorance. If I didn't have that level of ignorance, of course, I could have asked people, there were phones, and there were even people who lived there. Maybe I could have asked them, how is it, do we carry a jacket? But I didn't know. I didn't assume. Again, that's the question I say about if we all don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
And if you don't know what you don't know, you will not ask. And so you will not learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many years were you in Brussels?
Oh, I was there for 6 months first, then I came back. Then I went back for my PhD in Netherlands for 5 years. So I kept going back and forth. But when I went for my PhD, I had tested it, so I knew what to do. And
Was it intimidating being taught by Europeans?
It was. It was a little bit intimidating. What I eventually found that everyone has their own level of ignorance to some degree. When they teach you, some of them also did not have knowledge of different parts of the world. And when they teach you, especially when we go to pure clinical medicine, the assumption is that every patient, every incident looks like it is in Belgium. And so they can't give examples that we can relate to.
Yeah.
And in medicine, well, of course, when I grew up, I had to start speaking about them. For example, we have conditions in medicine. When you want to relate it to a layman, you say snowstorm appearance. A person like me who grew up in Africa, I have never seen snow.
Yes.
I don't know how snow looks like.
Yeah.
So these cases are the examples, and they don't know that there's some people who don't know how snow looks like.
Yeah.
And so you've got to turn it around and ask them. And when you ask them, of course, you look ignorant. But for me, who had already been through everything, I don't care if you think I don't know. The thing is that I don't know, so I ask the question, say, how does it look like or something.
Yeah. So did you then in class ask questions that now had the African context and they had to research to give you an answer, or how did you go about it? Because you see, you're learning in Brussels, but your context is back here.
When I am in that environment, I'm always known to ask questions. Even in class, I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I asked questions when I was a student. But when I was in Europe, I was a bit careful to ask questions. I asked questions in a polite way because there is some level of tolerance some teachers would give. So I would ask questions, or during breaks, I ask my colleagues, the students, and say, what's this? How does it look like? How do you simulate it? And then I get to know. But I would do a lot of work. I do my homework. Then I go back and read. And tomorrow I come back with the answers. Yeah.
Were you surprised then when you traveled? You know, the way you said back in your country, the boys used to follow their father, the girls used to follow their mom. And then here you are in Europe. I'm sure you were being taught by professors who are women.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
That was okay. I had grown up, I had gone to university. I had known that women also can go to school, can be as smart as anyone. And it wasn't that intimidating at all. The honest surprising part I found is that, or rather what I found out is that many people are ignorant of our settings and they operate as if they don't exist.
Yes.
So I had to break it to them that we also exist and there's another world that you don't know.
Out there.
that also gave me another scenario of life that there's a lot I don't know, but then I found there are also a lot of people who don't know what I know.
Yes.
So kind of the world is full of a mixture of things. Yeah.
So you're done with Brussels, you go back, you're done with Brussels, you're done with Amsterdam, which is a neighboring country. Then now you come back home. Were you able to apply everything back home?
No, so the other story that you need to know that in my life, I told you how I did my primary school when I was herding cattle. I have always been doing things parallel.
Yes.
All the time I do parallel things. It's my wife who reminded me that I have always been doing a lot of things at the same time.
Yes.
So when I was in Belgium, I was doing a short course, but I was still doing my master's. So I was still doing my residency as an obstetrician gynecologist. And when I finished the course, before I completed my OBGYN residency, I started my PhD in infectious diseases.
What? Infectious diseases? So this is infectious diseases and you're learning them in Europe?
I was running it in Europe, in Amsterdam, but I was doing most of my research in Rwanda.
Yeah.
One of my topics that I did was malaria in pregnancy. Again, I did malaria because it was the biggest killer of women in my country. And so I wanted to know why do women die more than men in terms of infectious diseases. And so then women in pregnancy are even worse.
Yes, vulnerable.
So my PhD was in malaria in pregnancy and wanted to study all the pathology and physiology and cross placenta, how the parasite of malaria cross the placenta and infect even the baby in utero. So these are lots of research that I was doing is when I got deeper into my research life.
Yes.
At the same time, I was doing my residency at becoming an obstetrician gynecologist, and a little bit parallel. So I was doing a few courses in Europe, come back, do my research in Rwanda. So I was always doing back and forth.
So is there a school of tropical medicine?
There's a school of tropical medicine and hygiene, yes.
Yeah. And this was Professor
De Vries. Peter De Vries was my mentor.
Yeah.
He used to come. So I stayed at Academic Medical Center in University of Amsterdam. So the University of Amsterdam was doing a lot of work in infectious diseases.
Where is the university? Is it in the town or it's in the
It's
country?
in Amsterdam, in the middle of Amsterdam.
Or it's in the town?
Yeah. So the Academic Medical Center was the hospital, which was affiliated to University of Amsterdam.
So you come back home, you learn how malaria affects mothers and babies. So is that how you were able then to end up learning, or how did you end up becoming a professor?
So when I was doing my research, I was already, when at the university, there was a policy at the university at that time that if you pass your medical school with a distinction, which is, I think, higher than 72, if I remember, 75 on average, you have an opportunity to be hired at the university as a lecturer, if you like. So that was how I was hired at the university because of my grades at the medical school. And then when I was doing this research, I was already a university staff. So when I finished my master's and PhD, then I was appointed as a lecturer at the university, but I had already started doing my research, and so my research career took up from there. But I kept my clinical because I was doing a lot of applying my clinical, my research to improve clinical care at the hospital. Again, I was combining academic and clinical at the same time.
They say that those who teach can't do, and those who do can't teach. Is that true?
I don't think entirely is true. It depends on your mindset. I think I come from a different mindset, a different background, whereby my mother used to tell me that it does not matter what you say or what you show, at the end of the day, results matters.
Yes.
And I grew up with that mindset that results matters. What counts is actions.
Yes.
I don't care how much you say you're good, I want to see results. And so I didn't want to teach this principle
Yes.
if I can't practice it.
You can't apply it yourself.
So I had to apply all the values that I
Yes.
learned from my childhood.
But it sounds then that your cup is always full and overflowing.
Yes.
You're a husband, you're a father, you're a clinician, you're in the university. Do you have a 24-hour day like the rest of us?
Yeah, I do. But in my early age, because of being on my own, being a child, attempting going to school, and maintaining also being a head of a family, I knew if I messed up on my family and cattle keeping, everything would go down. So I had to be highly disciplined to make sure that the people who agreed to combine their cows with mine and take care of them, if I mess up, they would say, take care of yourself, and they won't go to school.
Yes.
And so because of that, from an early age, I developed goal-setting principles. I would wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do today? And I write it down.
Yes.
So as I matured, I started goal setting. Everywhere I go, everywhere in my jacket, I have a piece of paper and I have things written down. Every morning I write down what I have to do, and every evening I have to check, did I achieve this and know how. So if I fail on a goal and I have to revise it, why did I fail? So, and if I set long-term goals, I have to make sure that on every day I do small pieces of the bigger goal that I have. And so goal setting helped me achieve a lot of things. When I was a medical doctor, I was researcher, and my career was picking up, my family was growing up, and I didn't have time for them. I had to make sure that since I don't have the luxury of abundance of time, I've got to give them quality time. If I can't get quantity, I give them quality time. So I had to intentionally do, when I go home, this is what I do. I pray with kid number one, do this, these games, take them out here, do this work, and so on. Yeah.
Wow. So you're back home now, you finished your studies, you have this tight schedule and everything. When do you then start traveling around the region for the training?
So when I grew up, my research career is the one that picked up very quickly. I started publishing groundbreaking research that were not known before. And they were being used by many countries, many agencies. And so I was being invited to different conferences to speak on my findings and my research. And this is how I started traveling to conferences, getting some other appointments, some universities. Can you be a faculty here? Can you come and teach about infectious disease, developing countries, maternal mortality, and so on. This is how it started. So it was research first before clinical. But then I always tried to combine them yeah. So that's how I found myself traveling the world and doing different works. Yeah.
So which came first? The East. There's the African Consortium.
Yes. There's so when I became Dean of Medicine, I was appointed to head the medical school in Rwanda, which was at a time we had to expand our training programs. We had a very shortage of doctors, and we had lots of problems, of course, in healthcare. So I was heading a medical school, and it was a huge challenge. So I was tasked to increase the number of doctors, but I had also to slow down because not to compromise quality. So this was always a big challenge. And so when we did this, I had to reach out to other people who did it before, especially the developed universities, to learn from them. How do you do it? So I got exposed, and I got to learn a lot of things in medical education because of that exposure. And so during those conversations and networking that we got, I got a lot of experience in managing academic programs and so on. And so eventually when there was, then Rwanda went very fast.
Yes.
And so people started coming to Rwanda to learn how did you do it? How did you make it work with your resources and everything? And we would gladly share our experiences and how we did it and so on. EXACOG, which is East Central and Southern African College, is bringing together all the colleges of East, Central, and Southern Africa and see how we can increase the number of doctors, gynecologists in the region.
Yeah.
So we came together. They asked me to chair education and research, I guess, because of my background. And we started the training in the region. So we are running now centers in different countries.
So did women stop dying because of malaria when they are pregnant?
They did not, but we use the science to reduce. Now we know and we can prevent. I can tell you that in Rwanda particularly, the numbers dropped significantly.
Yeah.
And maternal mortality also, for women dying in general, not necessarily malaria, dropped tremendously.
Yeah.